think you're all too well-mannered. Ah, you watch the grass grow. You listen to the grass grow, and you want it just to enfold you.
Developing expressivity on your instrument is critical, and the time to start is now, no matter where you are or what you're working on. And I was watching Maestro recently, the wonderful movie about Leonard Bernstein and his life, and it got me thinking about this video I saw years ago with Leonard Bernstein rehearsing the Schleswig-Holstein Orchestra in Germany. Now, I actually did that festival about 10 years after this video was shot, and it is full of so many great lessons on expressivity and channeling your inner musician. So in this video, we're going to take lessons from the great Leonard Bernstein and learn how to apply them to your playing to become a more expressive player.
You know what I want to do? I want to play some scales. All right?
Why not?
Slow, fast, major, minor. See, we've never touched each other, so let's do that. Everybody start.
And just what a great way. We've never touched each other, so just kind of getting to know you. And this is something that I have started doing in my own practicing. In my practice app, Modacity, I have an item early on in my practice session saying, understand where you are with bass, bow, and body, or something like that. So just kind of like checking in with myself at the beginning of every practice session, just sort of seeing, how am I feeling? Am I tight? Am I loose? This is what Bernstein's doing, kind of a musical equivalent with this entire orchestra.
Starting on the lowest, let's say C, of his instrument, and going up 2 octaves and coming down again, right? Nice and slow, C major.
Simple as can be.
Find your lowest sounding C, not too bad. Keep going. All right. Very brave, very brave. We want to go up 2 octaves and back. Don't repeat the high note. Just come back, all right?
Now watch those gestures change.
That's
Right there. So just that right there. Brave, and then like, he was very, when he started that first time, and now this time, he just gives you that gesture from the beginning.
Oh,
I mean, just all that's in there to just take. Like every note's an experience with him, and I think that's such a valuable thing to apply to your practicing. 2 octave C major scale, kind of basic, but it doesn't have to be, right?
you're wonderful. You're wonderful. Sensational orchestra. One of these days, I want to try, instead of scales, improvisations.
Isn't that cool with the orchestra? And by the way, what great self-talk for yourself too, right? Starting off just this joyful, simple, and everything really, if we reduce it down, can be a simple gesture, a simple sound, a simple intent, and just like, oh, you're wonderful. It's great. What a great way to start versus like just reading a bunch of rules or like maybe admonishing, or it's really important to watch super closely or something like that. You know, and just a great way to set the scene, and I think that it's a great way to set your own scene for practicing.
Now, The Rite of Spring by Stravinsky is all about sex and reproduction and the smells from out there. It's very good. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Why do you take so much time? I know I said I was going to follow you, but to feel Atman zwischen. Are you German speaking? Yeah, okay. So lange Pausen für das Atmen. La di da di pa.
And you know, as I'm watching, I'm sort of thinking about how often do I sing to myself before I play? And I think that's just so important. If you want to think about developing expressivity, where does it originate from? I mean, the human voice, you could do worse than that, right? So just even something like a scale, like da, 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 da. Just remembering to vocalize before playing, that's something that I'm always trying to get better at. I'm just watching Bernstein play and then like trying to apply that to my own playing. Just seeing him embody the music and just understanding how you can move to the music and let your motion sort of inform your playing. And just the way that he just approaches Rite of Spring and that earthiness, which is so characteristic of this piece. I mean, that taking that, you can apply that to so many other pieces, of course.
Did you get? Ah, the hobo every time.
Hobo.
The hobo. Ah.
Ha ha ha. Yeah, we get so easily trapped at, you know, down by the frog. And I've had so many conductors when I've been in bass sections say whole bow, and as a bass player, we're like, no, we're not supposed to use a whole bow. But you know, it really depends on context, right? It's all about context. And you can just see that gesture Bernstein's making. I mean, whole bow. Yes, sir.
The hobo. Okay. The hobo means from the frog to the point on every one. These are, I don't know, dinosaurs or whatever you want to picture.
So I love that he's giving technical and he's giving metaphorical, and he's giving the gesture and he's giving the sound and everything. And just thinking about that, like, how guilty am I of not using the whole bow? Oh, I'm notoriously bad about not doing that. And so just even with my technical practice, you know, just taking that C major scale that he was doing at the beginning, like really thinking.
Piccolo clarinetto. Play me this trill entrance. We must hear this trill. It's as important as the melody. Faster trill. It's a lazy trill.
And he's telling a flute player a lazy trill. And I think about my own trills. And there's what's comfortable on an instrument, and then there's what's musically expressive. And how guilty am I, whether it's trills or more commonly vibrato? I think for me, it's like, when do I vibrato when it's comfortable? versus when it makes sense musically. So thinking about practicing vibrato and applying a constant vibrato or applying constant trills and just developing the capacity to expand your scope of these expressive elements, whether it's trills or vibrato or dynamics or anything like that, that is going to take you a long way in terms of developing your expressivity. I love his war cry. Ah! And if you think before you're going to play Hellname, ah!
I think you're all too well-mannered. You've been brought up too well. Trop bien éduqué. The big downbeat in the tutti has to last a full quarter. Ah, really bestial. I mean, this is beastly music brought to the highest, most refined point.
Oh, that's such a great way to put it. It's beastly, brought to but brought to this refined point. Oh, I love it.
Ah, that's pretty good. All right, let's do 53. It's not just loud, and it's not just long, although it is both of those, but it's also deep, heavy. I mean, these are big, prehistoric.
Yeah, not just loud, not just long, but deep and heavy. So many great words to think about. So go back to that scale. Deep. What do I think of when I think of deep and heavy? Well, I think about sinking my bow in a little bit more. I think about the tone I'm pulling. Can I pull a little bit more of the harmonic frequency spectrum? So maybe get a little closer to the bridge. Really make sure my weight is focusing down. And how key just a few words like that, deep and heavy, can be to unlocking the tone, the true expressivity that you want in your playing.
Memories of Russia, or of the animal kingdom, whatever you want to call it, whether it's a rhinoceros or a buffalo, or just the feeling that one has in the spring sometimes, of wanting to be immersed in the earth itself. You know, you've all been through that. These dances are all performed by adolescents, so I guess.
You know, I used to work with a conductor named Carl Meyer. I was the assistant to the assistant with many, many jobs ago. And I remember him describing, we were doing, I think, Beethoven Coriolan Overture, maybe something like that. That sounds right, whatever. But I remember him talking about, you have that feeling in the car when you have to go to the bathroom really badly, your parents are driving, and there's just that urgency, you know that the rest stop is coming, but it's not coming soon enough. Play it like that. And I remember thinking, like, wow, Carl, what a great analogy to use versus be more in the upper half of the bow, or think about the phrase going ahead a little bit. And he said, all those musical terms might gloss over these kids, but everybody understands that feeling of going to the bathroom or needing to go to the bathroom. And this is so similar, I think, what Leonard Bernstein's doing here, just describing like that feeling of like being in the earth, the springtime, the everything coming up. And I remember that so clearly from living in Chicago, because it was so cold for so long. And even though he's working with trained musicians here, going to those analogies that everybody can understand, how key that is in just tapping into the emotion.
Think of the times, I'm not just wasting words, all the times that we all experience in adolescence, and I remember like yesterday, when you're lying on the ground and it's spring or summer, and you lie down face down on the ground and you want to kiss it. You watch the grass grow. You listen to the grass grow, and you want it just to enfold you. You've all had that experience.
See, maybe it's cheesy to think so much about that. I don't know, though. This is one of the greatest conductors, greatest musicians in recent history, in my opinion. Can we inform our C major scale with all of that? Can we inform our Kusevitsky concerto? Bernstein's great mentor, by the way. But can we take that primordial sound of spring, if it's the appropriate piece, or even just whatever emotion you're wanting to channel, can we bring that into whatever we're practicing? And can we do it from the beginning? I remember talking with Alex Hanna on my podcast years ago, and he had a line something like, always perform, never practice, or something along those lines. But I think the sentiment is powerful. The way I like to phrase it is, if you're not going to work on expressivity now, when are you going to do it? Because you're never going to get there. It's never going to be technically perfect enough. You're never going to have everything all lined up. So could you practice it from the moment you pick up the instrument? That's what I am looking for these days. Those are some lessons that I learned from Leonard Bernstein just in a few minutes of this video. I will link up to the complete video here. Check it out and we'll see you in the next one.
Have you ever heard a double bass recital? I doubt it.